Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in the live stream. And basically, exactly a week ago, I made one of my many senses, surveys, whatever you want to call them. I've done these in the past. Like this is the one I did like a little bit after the New Year's. I still have mine from back in fall of 2015. But I've been doing these for a while. And I use quick surveys, by the way. I tried SurveyMonkey. It was okay, but it like wouldn't let me do certain types of questioning, and I thought that was stupid because I wasn't going to pay extra money just to just for a certain type of question when I can just do it here for free. What's really good is compared to the last survey done in January, which I also let sit there for a week. We got nearly 1,000 more people, just 20 short of 1,000 extra people in the survey. So thank you all, everyone, for, answering the survey. And granted, while 3,500 is not even, well, actually, let's see what that would be. 3,500 divided by 129,000. Okay, so 2.7% of my channel answered the survey, but still, that's actually pretty cool. So again, thank you everyone for answering the survey. So we're going to look into these results and see what everyone picked as soon as it loads up. Get rid of that filter. Come on. Yeah, I learned earlier that you can actually do comparisons between different groups in the survey based on their answers, so I had fun with that for a little bit. But we're going to look at what everyone said. So, okay. So first question, have you taken a survey for my channel before? For obvious reasons, this is important because because I want new people just as much as older people taking the survey in terms of when they've joined my channel. Not to mention, even though I upload a video saying that there's a survey and I let it sit there for a week, obviously not everyone who subscribed to me answers that survey. So it's still nice to know to what extent are some of my old viewers, who've done surveys before, still doing surveys, and all the new people. And based on this question, the majority of the people answering, around 2/3, have never taken a survey before. So I can assume that they're either newer subscribers or, for all we know, there could be someone who's been subscribed to me since 2009 but simply has never taken a survey before. I mean, it just happens. So yeah. Oh, also, for those of you who weren't able to take the survey, all of the questions on here were optional. So you'll notice that this one has 3,547, that one has 3,533. So these are all going to have varying answers. Because I really didn't want to force a question on anyone. I don't know. But on to the next question. So the age brackets, how old are you? So the majority of my audience, well, the most answered age bracket, not the majority, is between 16 and 18, which makes sense. Since my channel is educational, it makes sense that a lot of the people watching my videos would be in high school, they're taking a history class or something. 13 to 15-year-olds are pretty close behind. Again, I'm guessing partially because students. It's kind of interesting how I actually have people who are above the age of 40 who watch my channel, around 2%. And a lot of people watch my channel even though they're under 13. I mean, I guess they're passionate for history or something, but still. This age distribution is about what I expected, roughly. Let's see. All right, so which of my social media pages do you follow, if any? Of course, standard question. I'm not the type of person who enjoys social media just to have it. So, I don't have a Facebook at all. Partly it's because I don't like Facebook, but But like I don't ever feel the pressure to make a Facebook just to make a Facebook. So these are really the only social media related to my YouTube channel that I have. My Twitter, my subreddit, if that even counts, my Google Plus, because I'm forced to have that, my VidMe, which all VidMe is, it's kind of like an alternative YouTube. So I upload a lot of my videos on there too as like a backup type thing. And then my Discord server, which in case you didn't know, I do have a Discord server. And if you look at the top of my screen, at least from what you can see, eventually some text will roll by having the link to my Discord, and hopefully that's slow enough to where you can write it down. Or there's a link to my Discord on the channel, but you can join my Discord. It's I just made it like a few months ago, and I didn't even publicly announce it until on the survey. So, anywho. Oh, so yeah. So the majority of you did not, subscribe to any of my social media, which is fine. Don't feel pressured to. I mean, you're not going to get too many special things off of it besides, oh, hey, I posted a video. Here's a link to it. I never use my Google Plus at all. I think it just auto posts new YouTube videos on there. So don't even worry about that. My Discord, I talk on there. So, yeah, you can join there. VidMe's backup videos. Subreddit is backup videos. Twitter is just me. And then also posting videos. So, anywho. And then, I just asked, out of those 5, which, put them in order based on how much time they spend on them. And what this number is, this is the average number they put it as. So, the lower the number, the better. So, on average, they put Discord as either number 1 or number 2 based on this number here. So I'm actually kind of intrigued that Discord is above Twitter, but it was relatively close. So Discord, Twitter, then Reddit, then VidMe, and then Google Plus is not surprisingly last. And of course, did any of you know any of the above social media I have? And again, it's always good to ask because a quarter of the people answering this question said they had no idea about any of them, which is possible. And at least the great majority knew of some of them. And I'm guessing it's because of the Discord why more people didn't put all of them, because again, the Discord thing is relatively new. Okay. What types of videos should I make more or less of? Pretty simple. If you've been with my channel for a while, I have 3 types of videos. It's either going to be a map animation of a war of some kind, of an empire / nation / region or whatever, and then of course for the past like half year I've been doing like talking videos about history. And the good news is all of you like all 3 of those and want me to keep doing more. I guess if you technically want to be picky, the most popular is barely the ones of empires and nations over both wars and talking videos. But really, you just looks like I'm doing a pretty good job. So in terms of like what I devote my time to, so glad you all like it. Which of my YouTube channels do you follow? So yes, obviously I have my main channel, which surprisingly isn't 100%, but whatever. In case you don't know, I do have an alternate history channel. It's not like Alternate History Hub. I don't talk on there. I don't debate or anything. But, occasionally I'll just put like scenarios up there. And they're, again, no talking. And it's still like an animated map essentially. But, it's not super active. But, it's there. And it looks like a third of you actually subscribe to it, which is nice. And then there's my music channel. I do make music, in case you don't know. That song that you heard before the stream started, well, that was a Duran Duran song. I made the cover of that. And I post a great majority of the music I make on my music channel. And the link to my music channel is on my channel page. So if you want to subscribe to that, that would be awesome. And again, it's just for music, so. And not surprisingly, only 5% of the people who answered the survey know about that. Okay. Anywho. Do you know about my Patreon? Yes, I am one of the many YouTube channels who have a Patreon. I honestly am guilty of not advertising it as much as I should. Part of me worries that, like, if I keep asking about, hey, support me on my Patreon, support me on my Patreon, support me on my Patreon, that a lot of people would just get annoyed. So I don't really, other than the link on my channel, I haven't really mentioned it much at all. But surprisingly, the majority of the people who answered the survey did know about it. So that's good. Again, don't feel obligated to donate to me on Patreon. It's not like I'm financially struggling, but of course, every dollar is appreciated. It goes towards a nice college textbook. Yeah, depressing, I know. All right. Do you ever listen to podcasts? The majority said no. Well, slightly under the majority, but the most popular answer was no. And then a lot of you either occasionally listen to them or do often, which is good because the next question was, if I made, say, a monthly podcast on YouTube about history, would you listen to it? Basically, I'm not quite sure what kind of podcast it would be other than the fact it's about history. But like, I'm not sure if it would be a panel, if it would just be me, if it would be like themed every month or something. I don't know. Maybe something similar to like hardcore history, but a bit more specific. So I thought about making it, and so I just kind of wanted to see what you guys thought about it. And it looks like the majority of you are kind of mixed on it. Or I guess mixed is the wrong word, but like, you might listen to it. And a lot of people said they definitely would, so that's good. So I might make a podcast, and it would be on YouTube, of course. So we'll see about that. Where do you find out about updates on my channel? Basically, if you didn't quite know what I meant, this didn't necessarily mean a new video. This just meant like, oh, like what if I wanted to say that I'm changing the day I upload my videos? How would you find out about that? And the majority of you said if I made a video about it, so which makes sense. And then of course smaller numbers for Twitter, Discord, and other. That is one thing that Twitter and Discord would be good for. I would announce stuff like that on there more than I would make an announcement video. But the results for this question aren't that surprising. Which country / region of the world do you live in? I mean, I could have just done like a Dropbox of like all 196 recognized countries, but that would have taken forever. So I usually like making like little blocks. So like United States, which had the most answers, 42%. Canada, 5%. Latin America, 3%, which Latin America is essentially anything in the Americas that isn't the United States and Canada. Oh, that's a helicopter. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a helicopter flying over my house. I actually live pretty close to a hospital, and it's really cool. They have a helicopter landing pad on there, so every once in a while I'll hear the helicopter fly over my house. United Kingdom at 9%. Europe, not including the UK or the former Soviet Union. So by former Soviet Union, of course, that means the Baltic states, Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, and Russia. That's the former Soviet Union, as well as Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. So all those are grouped for Russia and the former USSR countries, which is at 2%. I guess if you were to combine UK, Europe, and Russia together, you would barely have more people than the United States. So roughly even between the two, which is nice. 11 whole people from Africa. All right. 2% from the Middle East, 3% from the rest of Asia, and 3% from Australia/Oceania, as in the like New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Fiji, all the Pacific Islands out there. So it's nice to see that I have an audience from every part of the world. It does not surprise me that Europe and the Americas are by far the largest, but still kind of cool. And then I did have a Dropbox for this. If you happen to have lived in the United States, which state? Not surprisingly, California, Texas, New York, and Florida are the top 4. That does not surprise me one bit. Those are the most populated states in the country. It makes sense. Kind of interesting that Texas is higher than New York, but whatever. So then Ohio, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Virginia, Michigan, Washington, North Carolina, Massachusetts, Alabama, Georgia. And I didn't have an other in the question. I did have an option for every state, but for what I think it's because like the survey module uses up so many colors, it didn't want to create 50 unique colors, so it just lumped the rest of them together. So, oh well. Kind of hoping to see how good my home state did, which is Missouri, by the way, in case you didn't know. I live in Missouri. Anywho, I don't care what you think about gender. Just tell me what you consider your gender to be. So basically, the last survey, I asked what your gender was, and I included an other option, and so many people got triggered all because I had an other option. So this time I want to emphasize, I don't care what you think about gender, and just tell me what you consider your gender to be. Like, I do not understand why people fuss over this. Like, if you don't agree with it, then don't call yourself that. That's perfectly fine. But just because I include an other doesn't mean you have to spout me like 50 paragraphs on why it's morally wrong or something like that. A, because I'm not going to read it, and B, I just don't care. I just want your answers. And unsurprisingly, majority of males. This has been consistent with every single survey. Although, if I remember right, female last time was at 1%. So it's gone up, all right. And then other was at 2%. And that includes anything that's not male or female. So, whether trans people decide to identify as male and female anyway, I don't know. But this could include anything besides male and female. Okay. You may have noticed that at night I randomly stream myself playing video games. Thoughts on that? Yeah, most of you probably don't notice because, again, I do it in like the middle of the night, so like midnight or something. At least midnight my local time. And usually I just like play something like Battlefront 2 or Civ 5 just because I'm bored. I have no intentions on making my channel into a gaming channel. That's not what I want to do. Which is why I do it at night, partly at night anyway. A, because I have the time, and B, just because I don't want people thinking that that's the main thing I want to do. However, since I am doing that every once in a while, it's like it's not even like a consistent schedule. Just like if I want to do it, I do it. So I just wanted to see what people thought. Most of you said it's not your thing, which I totally get that. And a little under a quarter had no idea I did that. And then a quarter wants me to keep doing it. I'm not sure what I'll do. I've thought about maybe like moving the gaming streams over to another channel. I don't know. Because like I said, I don't want my main channel turning into a gaming channel. I don't want to do that. But, it's kind of fun when, you have a stream and people are watching me play, yada, yada, yada. So I'm not sure what I'll do. So we'll see. As implied earlier, I do have a music channel. If you happen to listen to the music I make, what are your thoughts? And again, unsurprisingly, the majority had no idea I made music at all. And so ignoring that chunk, the consensus is that a lot of people either love my music or like it. A few people just didn't like it, which is fine. But the majority did, so that's good. How do you find out about a new video? I'm sure that you've noticed with like other channels that they've been saying, be sure to hit that notification bell. And that's because apparently YouTube's been doing this weird thing where like just because you're subscribed to someone doesn't mean you see their video, which is why they added the notification bell so you can get notified of a new video. Which I think makes the whole subscriber thing kind of stupid, but okay. I think you should just see every video of every person you subscribe to, and if you don't want to see their videos, you should unsubscribe them. But whatever, YouTube decided to do this weird dual system. So I was curious to see how people particularly found out about a video I had, and this was a check all that can apply. So you could have potentially checked all of these. So not surprisingly, subscription feeds is number 1, notification bell is number 2. Just simply checking my channel page is number 3, with Twitter, Discord as distant 3rd and 4th. So not that surprising, but still. How did you find out about my channel? Well, not the majority. I need to forget that, like, okay, so technically, the majority is only a valid word if it's over 50%, which makes sense. But I keep on wanting to say that, like, the most selected answer is the majority when it's not. I'm trying to, like, catch myself doing that. But most, see, I can't say that either. A lot of you said that you just randomly found my channel, which is how a lot of people find channels. Or, again, a lot of you said that, like, YouTube suggested it, which, again, is really common with a lot of people. I'm glad that a lot of people came here because YouTube suggested it. I'm glad, YouTube suggests my videos at all and that people like it. So, thank you. Thank you for taking a chance on me. I added the teacher option because there are actually several teachers who have told me that they use my videos in their class, which is really awesome. So I just wanted to see, like, how many people, like, saw it in class and decided to subscribe to me, which, it's not a lot, but, I'm glad to see it. Some of you did, so. Surprisingly, more people joined my channel out of word of mouth. Now, it's still 1%, but, it always amazes me that anyone joins a YouTube channel from word of mouth. Okay. And then, of course, Cody from Alternate History Hub told you. Ever since I did my collab with Cody, I got a lot of new subs. Thank you, by the way. I hope you've enjoyed your stay on my channel. And I wanted to see how many of the people answering the survey came here because Cody told them to. And it was a good 15%, so yeah, quite a bit of you. How long have you been subscribed to me? So, in case you don't know, my channel is old. It's been around since 2009, in case you somehow don't believe it. It really has. It's hard to believe it, but I mean, 8 years. I made my channel on September 14th, so less than a month from now will be the 8th anniversary of my channel. Jeez, I've been doing this thing since middle school. And now I'm in college and I'm still doing it. So, yeah. The things I do for history. But anywho, I, of course, wanted to see how many people subscribed to me from which year, if they could remember. 8 people all the way back from 2009. Thank you for hanging in there. 19 from 2010, 9 from 2011, 49 from 2012. 2013 is when my World War II in Europe everyday video went viral, and I started getting more subs. So 104 from there, 211 from 2014, basically almost 500 from 2015, 1,014 from 2016. And so unsurprisingly, it keeps going up and up and up. And then 27, I kind of split up into before Cody collaborated with me and after. So I think if you combine both of these together, then that's more than 2016. So more subs every year, which is awesome. So thank you very much for subscribing and sticking around if you've been here for a while. And some people, of course, can't remember when they subscribed to me, which is fine. But it's been a while now. Yeah, makes sense. So, woo. How would you rank the overall quality of my videos? Of course, answers all across the board. But it averages to about 8.17, which is a B, which is nice. I'm glad, a lot of you like it. And then I have a separate question for how would you rank the educational value of my videos? Yes, my videos may be cheap and made with Paint and Movie Maker, but it could still be educational, right? And you agree. It's actually higher than my overall quality, which is interesting. 8.44 out of 10. Again, a B, which is nice. So, cool. Glad, I really appreciate it, guys. Okay, so this is the part of the survey. This is part 2. In case you did not answer the survey, I basically said that part 1 of the survey was just questions about my channel. But because so many interesting things had happened since January, you already probably know 3 off the top of your head, that I had a part 2 for just political questions. And I emphasized that just like every other question, it's optional, and they didn't have to answer the question if they didn't want to. That's why I put it in a separate part. So if you don't care about this part of the survey, you can leave the stream, because that for the rest of the stream is just going to be political questions. But it looks like a lot of you answered them anyway, so we're going to look through that. The first question was for part 2 was, what ideology do you most identify with? I tried to include as many as I could. I mean, I could easily include like 50 different groups, but that's just a waste of time. So, centrism, left libertarianism, right libertarianism, social democracy, which is like Bernie Sanders, which actually took the most, 16%. Socialist, actual communist, as in you believe in real communism, not like Stalinism or Maoism, which I also included. 2% of the people who answered were Nazis. Ugh. 4% were just plain old fascists, which there is a difference between the two. Nazis are like more extreme fascists. It's kind of weird, but same camp. But, wow, I have 6% between these two. Disturbing. A lot of people, of course, just plain old center left and center right. 9 people actually picked corporatist, which, in case you don't know, that essentially means like businesses rule everything. And 1% of you were a bunch of anarchists. Of course, some of you said other. And 14% of you said that you weren't sure, which is perfectly fine. I mean, considering the largest age group of the survey was between 16 to 18, you're at that age where you don't know what you believe in, or even if you do, you're still changing into law. That's perfectly normal. But, pretty good distribution all across the board. The only one who didn't get... Actually, no, yeah, they all at least got, a single vote, with social democracy edging in the lead. But cool. All right. Please state how you feel about the following statements. This is, the standard. Strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. And with the average on the side. And the average on the side, if it's a 5, that means it's closer to strongly agree. And if it's closer to a 0, then a 1, then it would be strongly disagree. Politics right now is simply messed up. Majority of you agreed. The world right now is messed up. The majority of you also agreed. Donald Trump is a good president. The majority of you strongly disagreed or disagreed between the two. On average, 2.29. So that means, the majority disagree that he's a good president. Restores a bit of faith in humanity. I also include other leaders besides Donald Trump. I was kind of hoping that they would, not just all be neutral. I think part of it is some people simply don't know many leaders outside the United States if they live in the United States. But, I include some. But they all got neutral, especially Malcolm Turnbull, which, in case you didn't know, he's the Prime Minister of Australia. Which I made a video on their election, by the way. He literally won his election by 1 seat. So it was a really close election. So I was just kind of I include him because I was curious to see what you thought. But the majority of you probably didn't even know who he was, hence why neutral 75%. But other than that, I mean, with the majority of them in the middle, there's not really that much else to say. I guess ranking them based on their average between the other 4, Turnbull was top with Merkel and then Trudeau and then Theresa May behind. I was actually thinking that maybe Theresa May would be more towards this way just because of how she did a bad job with her election, but interesting. So the United States should lead the world. The majority of you said generally no or strongly no. I'd prefer the EU over not being in it. This one was interesting. This one was the closest to even across the board. A lot of people strongly disagreed, and even those strongly agreed did win. It's still 20-25. It's relatively close. 23% in the middle. So, this is actually pretty even across the board. Interesting. The EU needs improvement. Yeah, just about the majority of you strongly agree with that. I am more scared of Michael Pence than Donald Trump. Neutral overall. Pardon me. Democrats will overall win the 2018 congressional elections. If you do not live in the United States, in case you don't know, Congress is kind of weird. We have the Senate and the House of Representatives. The senators are elected for 6 years, and representatives are 2, meaning that the entire House of Representatives is reelected every 2 years. So in 2018, that's when we vote the entire House in. And it's interesting just because, with all the things that Donald Trump has done, will the Republican majority disappear in the House? Who knows? We will find out in 2018. Then with senators being elected every 6 years, it's kind of weird. Like a third of the Senate is up for election every 2 years. So parts of the Senate are also up for re-election. Yeah. Donald Trump will resign or be impeached before his term ends. Relatively even, but the most of you said no. Donald Trump will run in 2020. Relatively even, but most of you said yes. Bernie Sanders will run in 2020. Most of you were kind of neutral, leaning towards yes, kind of. Yeah. I was kind of hoping for stronger opinions, frankly, but most of these are neutral. Except for that one and that. You know what I mean. The world will get better in the long run. Looks like the majority of you are optimistic, so that's nice. Are taxes theft? Majority of you had common sense and said no. All right, so with all this talk about media, fake news, left-leaning news, right-leaning news, what do people trust in terms of traditional TV/online written sources of news? So I had like 15 of them, and I had them rank them in an order. Someone pointed out that these were all either American or British, which you're right. I should apologize for that. I didn't include any like French or German or Asian news sources because I don't really know any. I mean, I guess there's Al Jazeera from the Middle East, but I don't know anything from the rest of Asia. I don't know any German or Russian or French sources, so it was just American and British. Sorry, but I had about 15 of them. One thing you'll notice is Okay, so this was supposed to be Reuters, but for whatever reason I put Rubens, which explains why it's last, because I bet a lot of people either thought this wasn't real or they didn't know what it was. So I wish I would have caught that, but oh well. So number one, to my surprise, was ABC. It's not that I am surprised. Like, I do think ABC News is a good news source. I'm just kind of surprised it managed to be number one. I expected the BBC to be number one, which, as you can see, it was actually pretty close. Again, these numbers are the average rank that they were given. So ABC was just barely number one, which I thought was really interesting, followed by the BBC, then the NBC. CNN was number four. I was kind of surprised by that with all the controversy around CNN and sensationalism and all that. Of course, this does include TV and online written sources of news. So it is possible that, when you think of ABC, BBC, NBC, CNN, all these, sometimes you might be thinking about their TV channels, sometimes you might be thinking about their website. But, The Guardian at 5th, New York Times at 6th, Fox News at 7. Then Wall Street Journal, London Times, Politico, Breitbart was 11. The Hill was 12. Honestly, I have no idea if people consider The Hill biased. I just don't know. Because when you hear about the talk about traditional news, you hear CNN, you hear Fox, you hear Breitbart, you hear The Guardian, the New York Times. No one really talks about The Hill. I included it, but I'm not sure if it's this low because people don't trust it or if people just don't know as much about it. But, either way, then The Hill. Then The Independent, and then, this makes me happy, the Daily Mail, if you ignore Rubens. The Daily Mail is essentially last place, which makes me happy. I thought this was definitely an interesting ranking. And then next, I did the YouTube political channels because I decided to make them a separate category. I realized that I forgot a lot of them because I don't watch that many of these at all. I didn't think about including Sargon. I think probably because I just don't see him. I know Sargon talks about politics, but I just don't see him as a political channel for some reason. I know it's kind of stupid. I probably should have included him. I also didn't think about secular media. I didn't think about a lot. So I just included the 8 that came off the top of my head. I tried to balance it between left-leaning and right-leaning. The Young Turks ended up taking first place, followed by Jimmy Dore. And I'm surprised that Alex Jones is as high as 3. Then again, I did put trust them / like them. I know a lot of people watch Alex Jones because he's hilarious. Then the Humanist Report was in 4th place. Steven Crowder. Then I actually thought Ben Shapiro would be 3 or 4. I'm surprised that he was the lower of the more right-leaning ones. It does not surprise me that TYT is in first place, but I expected Ben Shapiro to be higher. David Pakman. I don't watch him at all. I've just seen his name a lot, so I don't know if this is because people know less of him or if he's biased. I don't know. I just saw his name and decided to include him. And Rebel Media is, thankfully, dead last. I could have included more channels on here, like Sargon or Secular Media, and I'm sure there's tons of others I haven't thought about, but these were the ones that just came to mind. So, interesting question. Rank in order where you get your sources of news, as in the medium. So, online written news is not surprisingly first, followed by video news, then television. It kind of surprises me that television is still that high. Or that physical newspapers, I'm surprised people still read those. See, I would have expected radio podcast news to be higher because there's NPR and stuff like that. But then I mean, technically these aren't sources of news, but of course there are a lot of people who simply just go on to their social media and just click whatever articles make the front page. And then, you know, of course, news from your family and friends. That does not surprise me that that's last place. Rank Donald Trump's presidency thus far. The majority of you gave him a 0 as the worst president ever. And if you would have picked 10, that would be the best president ever. And so, but most of you, or at least the largest chunk of you, gave him a 0. And his average is 3.69, which is an F. Yeah, I would agree with that. 3.69 out of 10. That sounds about right. Again, I include Theresa May, but surprisingly, a lot of people, I'm not sure if it's because Americans don't know much about British politics or if it's just because she's legitimately in the middle, but once again, she's just in the middle. I was kind of hoping for a more decisive yay or nay vote, but yeah, I guess the majority of people just, or a third of the people just said just a 5 out of 10. Although I guess more people are voting on the, you know, the bad side versus the good side, because her average is essentially 4 out of 10, which is an F. But you know, I expected it to be more precise than that. Gosh darn it, Steam, move out of the way. Do you support single-payer healthcare? A lot of you essentially said yes. 33% had like a middle ground. They want more socialized than we have, but not quite single-payer. And then a quarter of you said no. So that was kind of interesting. Rank these issues by importance to you. I just include these 8. And I know that these are all important, obviously, but I still thought it would be interesting to see what people rank them. Happily, education is at the top. I would have hoped that education would be in the top 3, but education is by far the top choice, with environment second, healthcare third. And remember, these are just like issues by importance. So, for example, you could think education is important, but want to get rid of public schools. Or you could think education is important, but want to help public schools. So you could be on both sides of an issue, but still consider it more important. So keep that in mind. Healthcare, then money in politics, tax, business, regulations, transparent. I was actually kind of hoping transparency in government would be a bit higher too, but oh well. Immigration and military were last. I mean, again, these are all important, but I'm kind of surprised that based on the modern political climate that immigration is that low. I guess it doesn't well, I guess it depends where you would live too. But like, especially like, you know, Europeans, you would expect immigration to be higher. But oh well. Military's last. Interesting. That was the last question on that survey. So those were all the questions. I guess the last thing to do, well, no, I mean, yeah, I guess I'm not sure what else to do because that's all the questions in the survey, both parts 1 and 2. So those are all the results. So fear not, if you missed the stream, I will post an actual video of this stream that you could, you know, watch later. Anywho, thank you all for joining into the stream, and I will see you all next time.